Hey, if you haven't met me yet, my name is Bruce Martin. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how cybersecurity companies can secure more business using automation systems, specifically SOC 2 and ISO 27001. Now, this is my personal approach to the steps I've used and refined. So not the only way, but it is a proven path. I'm not going to gatekeep anything. I'll share the exact strategies I use to help my clients find in-market leads who are ready to buy. Let's jump right in. The first thing you'll see is this very rudimentary but very simple Canva board. What we're doing here is we're taking people who are actively looking for help in this role. So job boards, specifically Indeed, LinkedIn. You can use any job board if you have the ability to scrape them. Then as a scraping tool, we're using Captain Data to actually scrape those jobs and all the relevant details. We're also using Captain Data to find sales navigator data. So when we scrape this job, we're going to find the company and the decision makers. That's what the sales nav helps us with. It doesn't give us the business email. So we're going to use Apollo or some other tool for that. Push that to Google Sheets. And once they've been pushed to Google Sheets, we'll have the option to use a SendPotion or HeyGen or Tavis. And this is a totally optional step. And then lastly, we're just going to use that to actually send our automated emails. And then once that's been sent, we can use some optional omni-channel support through warm calling and LinkedIn outreach, right? So the first thing we want to do here is we want to head over to LinkedIn, right? So I've searched for ISO 27001. That's just as a generic term in sub-Saharan Africa, because that is where I am in beautiful Cape Town. These jobs look half decent. And the next step really is just to copy this URL. And what we want to do here is want to go over to Captain Data. I'll drop the link to the specific workflow in the description below. And our first step really is to drop this link in there. So I'm going to delete this one over here, right? And let's paste that in, right? Great. Now, next step, we want to connect the LinkedIn account. That's me. That's correct. And I'm going to pitch just 25 jobs for now. What Captain Data will do, it'll use my account to actually fetch these. It'll launch the LinkedIn job page. And what that'll look like is, click on this and then pop in over here. Oh, LinkedIn messages coming through. And they'll actually scrape all of the data on this specific job page, extract the job profile, and also pick up where the company is. And then this is just an internal generic aggregation step where it just combines all of that data. The next step is a little bit more important, right? Because when you're working with a sales navigator API, what's going to happen is you're going to need to conform to the specific codes that LinkedIn has. I've actually dropped all of them in this document for you. You can also find that in the description. And because we're in sub-Saharan Africa for this specific automation, the geography is not that important in this case, because this is personal geography. Our decision makers, the employee's title is not as important as the function, because titles change, but functions are a little bit more consistent. And our seniority levels are really, really important, because we don't want to be reaching out to people who are in training, because they obviously have no decision maker power. Right. So if we scroll down to seniority codes, we'll see director, VP, CXO, owner, partner. And we can drop that in here. Director 140 to 180. Functions are 9, 13, 18. Let's see if that makes sense. That should be right at the top. Functions 9, yes. 13, yes. IT, 18 operations, that makes sense. Right. And we want a total of 5 results. So it's going to take everyone in these functions at this seniority level. It's going to give us 5 results for each. Our next step is then it's going to use our profile to actually visit their profiles. And once it does that, it's going to scrape the data of the profiles, aggregate it. And then we'll have an enrichment step with Apollo. And then lastly, we actually have to push this to a Google Sheet. Right? The way we do that is we're going to take the sheet ID, which is the code after the /, and we're going to drop that in here. And we're also going to look at the name of the sheet, sheet 1, right? Oops. And that's going to push that to us in that sheet. And that usually takes maybe an hour or two, because it's trying to protect your account while you're doing that at the same time. Because it's an automation tool, it won't just blast through your account. It needs to do what it needs to do to protect your account. So the results are not instant. You will need to wait a few hours, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes more. But at least you know for sure it's doing what it needs to do to make sure your account, wherever this account is connected, stays safe. So I've actually gone ahead and did that before this video, so we don't have to wait that extra 30 minutes or an hour. Really, what's going to pop out here is a document like this. It's going to be a gigantic document, and you'll see there's 20 fields here. They'll have the apply URL, the start URL, everything you could possibly imagine that could come from LinkedIn, including the current base URL, the job title, current company, the job description, their experiences, literally everything that they've listed there. You can extract that, right? So this is a really, really good start, but it doesn't help us yet. We actually need to transform this into something that is meaningful. And that is where make.com comes in, right? So we can build this from scratch, but because it's already built, I think it makes much more sense. I will drop this in the description as well. It's totally free. Download it and then upload it into your make.com instance as a scenario, and it'll be good to go. I have changed a lot of these to OpenWriter because it becomes easier to change models. But for now, let's just use the native Perplexity and native Claude model. Let's explain the step. We're feeding in the Google Sheet. Let's make sure this is the correct one. The spreadsheet ID needs to match here. So that's going to be I ending with G58. Yep, that looks correct. The sheet name, let's make sure we've actually got the correct data. I'm going to just limit that to 5. And let's take them for a spin. Right, so our first one is Green Tomato Media. And what's the name? Erwan. Right, let's have a look if you can find Erwan. Okay, let's go. Great. Erwan at Green Tomato Media. So it looks like our data is pulling through quite nicely. The next step is quite important, but also quite unique. We want to appear relevant to our audience if we're going to send them these emails. And that's why we engage Perplexity for that, because we want to do real-time research on their company. We want to understand what their needs, their wants, their challenges, and the opportunities that potentially are waiting for them. And we want to convey that very succinctly, very clearly in our email. But in order to do that, we actually need the data. So what we're doing here is a real-time research step. So we're saying you're an experienced researcher trying to find the latest and most important changes to the companies you're researching. Find the most recent comments from the CEO, and then we pull that in. Company URL with the company name. That one seems fine. Then we reiterate that we want that to be pushed out as a JSON object, and then we'll give an example. What that'll look like is recent news. This is an example. Lead and Gain Workforce Solution that recently launched a new US contractor funding and management solution offering end-to-end back office. Great. What are the opportunities? They are capitalizing on the growing temporary staffing market, projected to reach $885.6 billion in 2024. Great. Challenges: navigating the complexities of employment contracts, contractor compliance, and regulatory requirements. Great. And what did the CEO say? CEO Josh Gitman said Lead and Gain experience accelerated growth, achieving remarkable 300% increase over 3 years. That's pretty decent, right? I'm going to use Sonar Pro for this. Just seems to produce really, really good results. It's important you can check on these automations quite regularly because the models will change and some will get deprecated. And then you'll see we actually have another example over here. Another example of in context training, because we want to make sure that our AI, our LLM knows exactly how to respond. We give it a few more examples. And so find the most recent comments, and we finally feed in the data that we need. Let's take this one for a test spin. Let's save that. And let's go. Responding only. Company name. Let's look for the first company name here. Let's go company underscore name. 309. Green Tomato Media. Saw this here. Green Tomato. Again, Green Tomato Media. Let's see what he comes up with. Let's keep Perplexity a second. Right. Drum roll. Right. Recent news. Green Tomato Media has expanded its portfolio to include mobile apps with over 45 million downloads and 60 projects launched. That looks great. Opportunities. The company is capitalizing on the growing demand for mobile entertainment apps and targeted SEO services. Fantastic. Maintaining innovation and growth across diverse digital businesses. Seen CEO comments. Simon Legault, my apologies, Simon, I'm totally butchering that. CEO of Green Tomato Media emphasizes the importance of passion and curiosity in their team, stating we're looking for passionate people and curious people that love to learn. That'll be really, really helpful. But let's make sure that this data is actually correct. So a quick search here, and let's use our friend Perplexity. Right, it looks like that little sanity check actually proved to be successful. What it's going to do, it's going to kick this out as JSON, which means that now we have to take this JSON and actually convert it into something readable. So our next step is just testing if this JSON step actually works. So I'm going to add an item, JSON stop. Here's some content. The rest is not really important. Right. And so it'll kick it out for us. Here's opportunities, challenges, and the CEO comments. Now, for the juicy bits, this one's a little bit harder to do. It takes a little bit longer as well. But what we want to do, we want to connect our Anthropic account. So that's important for you to do. When you click add, and it'll open up Anthropic for you. Anthropic still writes really, really well. There are some models right now available that can write a little bit better. But if you've got enough in-context training, you can make most models work. What we're going to do is we're going to choose Sonnet because Sonnet is really, really good at writing. Let's choose that one over there, max 500 token, and let's walk through this step by step. First thing we're doing is we are simulating what each input and response looks like a few times over. Why? Because we need to get our LLM to understand the type of response we need. So you can consider it a type of fine-tuning, although it's not actual fine-tuning, but it's in-context training. So we do full name, Jamie Burke, company name, Outlier Ventures, title, founder, and CEO. So these are real people that we have reached out to before that have actually responded. And we've used these examples of profiles and actual responses to train our AI on what real people would respond to so that it can reproduce that all the time. So we've got a really, really good positive reply rate. Title, founder, summary. This all comes from LinkedIn. Title, description, company location, and of course we're using JSON because AI speaks JSON fluently. Recent news and events, and that will come from our research step. It is challenges, and our last step should be CEO comments, which should be somewhere here, but I'm not seeing it. And we'll go through that a couple of times. But here's an example of what an email will look like. We're breaking our email up into 3 parts. This one is an icebreaker, something personal. Our next step is to be relevant to the company. So we want to switch from personal to business in a casual way. And then our last step is now that we've switched to business, we've opened them up on a personal level. They'll be much more amenable to hearing our pitch. This is what a typical email will look like. Hey, Jamie, love your podcast, mate. I consider myself at the intersection of blockchain, AI, VR as well, and figured I'd reach out. Just read what the CEO of Outlier Ventures is saying about how he faces the same issue every crypto enthusiast faces, staying true to decentralization. Kudos for trying. I know this is a long shot, but I work specifically with companies requiring ISO27001 assistance. Basically, I make sure all the boxes are checked for the ISO certification and that your organization is safe. I've done this with companies around the globe, and I'm confident I could fill the gap while we're on the hunt for the perfect candidate. Based on what I've seen in the cybersec space, I'm confident we could achieve similar or better results for outlier ventures. You won't have to worry about security while you're on the hunt for the perfect fit. But it makes sense for us to have a quick chat, right? A little bit longer than usual, but you're getting the message across. Same for Christopher, pulling in his details, give an example of what a good email looks like. Hey, Chris, read through your bio. You have such an interesting background. Blockchain, travel, quantum computing is wild. Company relevance. I'm curious how you're balancing traditional agency solutions with cutting-edge tech. Pitch. I know it's a long shot, but I noticed the vacancy for an ISO 27001 specialist. Thought I'd reach out. I'm a specialist in this area and can help while you're on the hunt for the perfect candidate. Would you be opposed to having a quick chat to make sure Surrogate Travels maintains its ISO certification and the business retains as a result? More importantly, that Surrogate remains protected in the absence of the ISO specialist you're looking for. Right? You can drop in your signature and then we go through one or two more examples exactly like that. This entire workflow scenario will be for free in the chat. A last step then, we're actually pulling all of this data from our Google Sheet. You'll see that pulse data over there, full name, company name, job title, summary, description, locations, then challenges, opportunities, recent news, CEO comments, your helpful, skilled, intelligent writing assistant. This is actually what we're telling them, telling our AI, and we're telling them to reference the actual job, right? And those steps should be okay. Right, let's give this one a test. It's going to take a while for us to find all of this data. So let's see if we can find this from here. Company name, Printer Multimedia, job title, managing director, description, no description. Let's drop in summary. Also no summary. Full name, urban, what about job description? All right, let's see why we don't have job description in here. Job underscore description. There we go. That's a long description. Let's grab it from here. It's easier just to do it this way. X. Location Shanghai. That is the location of the person we're reaching out to. Locations, that's not really important. Summary, this DI. Right, let's go to column D. He doesn't have summary either. Then we need the JSON from our research step ready with perplexity. So let's run this module again. We previously, let's see, we had Internet Media. Let's run that one more time. Choices, collection, message, challenges, changes, recent news, CEO comments. Right. Let's give that a sync. Great. Let's see what our email says. Icebreaker. Hey everyone, saw you crushing it with 5 million active users in the party game space. Someone who's seen the mobile game industry involved, figured I'd reach out. Company relevance. Notice you're expanding rapidly with 45 million downloads and pushing into iGaming. Must be quite the challenge keeping everything secure while scaling that. So notice how we're transitioning into security. And then our pitch. I know it's a long shot, but while you're looking for that perfect QA engineer, this title is not exactly perfect. We'll need to filter things like this out. Have you considered the security implications of rapidly scaling? I specialize in ISO 27001 with a quick chat. So we didn't find the perfect job over here. We'll need to filter this out before. But the email's pretty good. Do that so we can test our JSON step item is right. And then we broke that up into icebreaker, company relevance, and then our long step really would be to push this to 1. Let's just see if we've got fields for this. Okay, we've got fields for icebreaker, company relevance, and pitch. 1. Great table does contain headers. Let's make sure we've got the correct row number. Now let's look for those fields right at the end. We just add this again to make sure we have the correct items here. So icebreaker. Good. Let's save this and let's give this one second for a spin with how many should we do? Let's do 5. Let's see what comes up. All right. Let's run once. Let's kill these filters for now. Let's try that again. Is this populating our sheet? It looks like it. All right, first one down. What you're doing with green tomato media. That looks pretty good. And let's have a look at company relevance. Notice you're hiring for a QA bug hunter with 45 million downloads. I imagine keeping those apps secure was a top priority. I know it's a long time. While you're searching for your QA superhero, could help ensure your app stays secure and compliant. That looks good. Let's have a look at the rest of them. Hey, Antoine, your track record with Google Discover is pretty wild. 100 million plus views across multiple verticals is no joke. Notice green tomatoes expanding globally while trying to maintain quality. Right. Different job titles at the same company. Let's have a look at this one over here. Hey Raghu, just read about AgentWorks. Fascinating stuff with decentralized AI agents. As someone who geeks out about AI and enterprise security, figured I'd reach out. With AI agents operating across networks and boundaries, I imagine security and compliance are keeping you up at night. And then I'll pitch. I know it's a long shot, but I noticed you're looking for someone to handle your ISO certification, specialize in ISO27001. Particularly for AI and blockchain companies, could help bridge the gap while searching for the perfect candidate. My expertise lies in ensuring AI systems. Still a little bit too salesy, but we can tweak that. Would you be able to a quick chat about maintaining asset compliance during this transition period? Promise to keep it brief and focused on immediate solutions. Then we've got, let's do one more. A-Star, your mission to empower 100,000 women leaders while keeping authenticity at the core is inspiring. Love that you're focusing on the mental shift needed for real change. Figured I'd reach out. With the kind of transformation work you're doing in South Africa, especially with young leaders, I can imagine that base security is important for building trust. Notice how it's trying to bridge the gap between personal and business. I noticed it's a long shot, but I noticed you're searching for someone to handle your ISO 27001. Given the sensitive nature of leadership coaching and personal development work, having proper security measures is crucial. I specialize in helping companies achieve and maintain ISO. We'd love to chat about how we could work together to ensure Zendesk maintains the highest security standards while we continue transforming lives. It's a bit long, but that's a really, really, really good email. If you found this fun, just drop me a comment, say yes, no, long, boring. Everything that I've shared here will be freely available in the description. Just click the link and stay tuned for next time. Cheers, bye.